is now my pleasure to introduce my co-presenters. You can see on my left Ms. Amal Bahloul and Ms. Wafaa Bardaa. Okay, so we will talk to you a little bit about a case. It's really like a case study, which is going to involve the work with young female ladies in the MENA region. And let me make sure we share the screen with you. Okay, you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay.
Go further down. All right. Okay. So this particular talk, we would like to do it in a little bit different format. We will adopt a little bit the talk show format. So Ms. Amal will be playing the role of the host, and myself and Ms. Wafaa will be her guests. Mm-hmm. So I will pass the space and the mic to her.
Yes.
Please, Amal.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our session. As you know, first of all, thank you, Dr. Wafaa, for that amazing introduction to Tunisian cinema and Arab women in movies. So actually kind of following that theme, the first thing that I'm going to ask you, guests and audience, is do you know how you can kind of tell if a movie is a feminist movie or not? Do you have an idea?
Wow,
you know?
A feminist movie.
Yeah, like how do you know if a movie, think about the big blockbusters or even the movies that Dr. Wafaa talked about. Do you know what would be considered like a feminist movie?
You mean technically or thematically?
Technically.
You mean technically or thematically? Because there's a difference. We need to be precise.
Yeah, sure. So kind of, I'm going to be introducing a test kind of in a bit, but we're talking more technically right now.
I mean, I think there's more than one criteria to decide, right?
Yes.
So the ideas, the characters,
mm-hmm.
We can even check if the producer and the director and the filmmaker, if one of them is a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And then through the script tells a lot about whether the movie is feminist or not.
Yes. And I'm sure Dr. Wafaa, you can kind of talk a little bit more about that. But what I want to talk to you guys about today is a quick test that any of you can use next time you're at the cinema or next time you watch any movie, and it's called the Bechdel test. And actually, it started off with a funny. It was in a what's it called, like a magazine, and it was just a comic that a feminist wrote, and it was about two characters saying, "Hey, you should go watch this alien movie." And she said, "Well, does the movie have at least two female characters?" And it was like, yes. And then I was like, do those characters actually ever talk to each other? Yes. And then do they talk about something other than a man? And then she realized, oh no. And even in that movie that she thought was super feminist because there was more than one character and these characters talk to each other, but it turns out in the script, every time they talk to each other, it was always about the main character or another character that was a male. So this became, even though it was just a quick comic in a journal, it ended up being an actual test that anyone can use now to figure out does the movie have the basics of kind of a normal feminist script. So I just wanted to start us off with that, so that you guys all had this in mind next time you watch a movie. I know once I heard about this test, I use it all the time, and I make sure to ask myself these 3 questions just to as the the basics.
Well, taken.
So
okay, excellent. So as I said earlier, so we will work with this concept of empowerment And Amal will talk a little bit more later on about empowerment. But I will start a little bit with some sort of a historical overview. I mentioned a few people in the abstract, and then most of you read the abstract. I want to just share with you a number really of latest publications in this field and acknowledge a little bit the work of Lauraj Campbell, Eid and Fahmy, Shalabi and Mughadam, and Narmeen Allam. I'll come back to them a little bit shortly. So as you know, when we talk about the MENA region, so whether you are from a particular country or you are, like bilingual, you belong to a couple, or bicultural, you belong to a couple of them or three of them, you can see it's quite big. Now, let me talk a little bit about Fahmy and Eid. So when you look at the 13 chapters inside this particular, volume, I think what attracted me is chapter number 8, where there is a section 2, about people, media, power, and the state, civil society in post-revolutionary states. And you can feel that this is, alluding to the Arab Spring. Okay, so what attracted me is Narmeen has a chapter in here, and then she talks a little bit, she promotes this idea of this new affective language when it comes to media, when it comes to arts, and it's a language that is that women are nowadays in the MENA region are trying to kind of making use of more and more. Okay. In the book that by Marwa Shalabi and Valentine, I like that this particular quote, which was taken from Sabah 96 years old, but it's interesting that Arab women carry many burdens, the worst being the popular stereotypes that serve to establish the position of superiority of Western women and constitute a worse injustice against Arab women than the patriarchal, oppression they must face in their own countries. And I found this quite interesting because it's something we don't pay attention to. We usually and constantly think about the patriarchy. But in fact, Sabah is saying maybe there is a bit more than this idea of patriarchy, which is the media. Mm-hmm. The media is not showing the Arab women. The media is not showing us. It's showing all Western women and going a little bit beyond. With Anne Lauraj Campbell, you can see that she is from a couple cultures, Western and Algerian, but she has a little bit this idea of really understanding culture and acculturation and rural and semi-rural areas that is not usually easy to really deal with. And she kind of promotes a little bit this idea of fully understanding this Arab Islamic culture. Okay. In a conference like this, I also like to really mention a number of, women from the MENA region who contributed and participated to the issues related to women and empowerment. I have like about 11 of them, but really they are more than that. They are with hundreds, but we cannot accommodate everyone. So I simply stopped at Huda Sha'rawi from Egypt. And I'm glad some of you have spoken about her earlier. Fatma Mernisi from Morocco, Sahar Khalifa from Palestine, Liana Badr from Palestine, Huda Barakat from Lebanon, Ahlam Mustaghanmi from Algeria, Layla Abu Zaid from Morocco, Layla Abu Zaid from Tunisia, and Layla Al-Othman from Kuwait. Thank you, Dr. Tijani. Earlier, you brought my attention to Layla Al-Othmani. And Mariam Al-Mansouri. I think this is because I've been here in the United Arab Emirates for some time, but when Mariam took part of this particular work for the first time, I think we all felt empowered, not just the ladies here. Why? Because empowerment, I think, is a feeling that one experiences every time a human gets empowered. So when a child gets empowered, we should feel happy. When a young lady gets empowered, we should feel happy. We are in the field of education, so we deal with tweens, we deal with young adults, and when we empower them, we feel happy. So even though Mariam, she's not my student, but we all felt, wow, this is a major achievement. And I think something like this should be highlighted. Okay, with this a little bit of a short overview, I would pass on the floor to Amal to talk about the empowerment through really her startup, which she initiated in California a few years ago, and she brought it to the MENA region. Amal, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. So just kind of echoing what Dr. Maher said, there's definitely so many women that came before us that have done so much good work for us. Filmmakers, artists, scholars, we definitely as Arab women wouldn't be where we are today without them. So it's amazing to kind of honor them and respect them, because they don't teach us about them in schools. So we have to do it in places like this. Like I said, so like my dad said, we kind of did this whole we started an organization, and a lot of the times where I get asked, why do you focus on children? And a big reason for me is because from as young as 7, and honestly, there's other research that shows it starts even earlier. It actually starts as young as 3 years old. There are already gender-related stereotypes about what a boy and what a girl is, like gender-related stereotypes that kind of shape your whole identity from such a young age. But by 7, boys already aspire for traditionally male-dominated professions, and girls are already show an interest in nurturing and caring roles. So that's why we decided that to bring in filmmaking, if we're going to tackle it properly, we need to start at the source. So our slogan, our motto is Lights, Camera, Learn. We are here to empower and educate children through the art of filmmaking. But really, we realized it's children and youth. That's as you'll see a little bit later. So we're an international nonprofit organization that creates edutainment content by kids for kids. Through our edutainment camps, we reunite filmmakers and educators from all over the world with children to create their own movies, which innovates their educational experience. So why filmmaking? Why not music or art? Really, filmmaking is a great way to kind of combine all those other art forms, because first of all, cameras nowadays are kind of a tool for expressing ideas. If you have an idea, kids nowadays are known, they just whip out their phone, they take a video saying what they have to say and they post it. And screens is where kids and adults now, where we go to learn. It's not, books might not be the first. It could be a book that's on a screen, but screens really have been a huge way to disseminate information. So it's really the most creative, collaborative, and technical art for the 21st century learner. So we really want to bring filmmaking into schools to innovate curriculums and pedagogies, and to really make sure that this art form, which is filmmaking, can be used most efficiently as a tool for students to be empowered and to have fun while learning. Wafaa, do you want to tell us a bit more about what we've done as an organization?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. So in the last 4 years, we produced more than 70 movies in 8 countries. And these movies were in 5 languages. And during this journey, we empowered 612 stars and more than 95 directors. And during a Lights, Camera, Learn session, we do improv games, research, and script writing. And right after that, we start the process of filmmaking. in Lights, Camera, Learn, we believe that filmmaking is more than an art. It's a tool and a leadership exercise that reminds our stars and directors. And by stars, we mean our kids, and we call them stars to empower them. Mm-hmm. And by directors, we mean our interns, and we call them directors to empower them. And so it's a good exercise from an early age, and we need to tell them through this tool that they are capable of creating, and that they are leaders impacting other people's lives.
So this is a big question, right? What is empowerment? Like, that is such a broad word, and it's so hard to define. So I want to ask you, Wafaa, mm-hmm. to you, what is empowerment?
I see empowerment through my experience. I started 3 years ago in Lights, Camera, Learn as an intern who barely spoke English. And I ended up, after 2 years, the vice president of operations of this nonprofit, and where I had the chance to work in 5 countries, in 3 different continents, where I led international filmmaking camps for underprivileged kids, where I saw different people coming from different backgrounds with different experiences, and it was just a life-changing experience.
Amazing. What about you? What do you think empowerment is? What is it for you?
I think there are many definitions of empowerment, and we could look at it from different age groups, from different perspectives, from different genders. But I think, as I said earlier, every time we see someone moving forward, either through the social ladder, through the personality ladder, through the educational ladder, I think an opportunity came to them and someone pushed them to move ahead. And when we talk about humans in general, we know that there are the introvert, there are the extrovert, and sometimes the empowerment is when you manage to get someone from a state, let's say a highly introvert to a little bit introvert or to extrovert, you somehow empowered them. Right. So, anyways, empowerment is an important concept, and this conference deals with it. And I think the testimonies you will hear will illustrate such effort. The result also of this, the effort of Lights, Camera, Learn.
Amazing. Yeah. So for me, I think that empowerment, or how I've experienced it in my life, is in moments where I feel lost, I have people around me that I can ask for guidance and that will actually guide me. So I think it's, to me, that's how I personally felt it. But from a Lights, Camera, Learn perspective, what we try to do with our empowerment is really, it's kind of like a circle. So we empower, young adults to actually get work experience, to travel, to kind of serve their communities. And those, okay, so actually I'm going to start with the other way around. So we start with kids, right? So the kids are empowered by those young adults that are coming to kind of serve them. And then when they grow up, and they're told in our sessions, all kids around the world are going to be watching your movie. So they are taught, okay, I need to make this movie the best that I can so that I can empower other kids to watch this movie and so they can learn. And then these kids kind of grow up to become the leaders of the sessions in the future, as you'll see later on from our testimonies. And then those grow up to become leaders of the whole, of the whole organization. So really what we're doing here is giving, kids and youth an opportunity to see growth, within themselves and in a structure that is already set up in place. So, so how do we empower other than that? These are kind of some examples of when we asked around to our, to the families and to our community, they said that these are some examples that they said that how Lights Camera empowers people in this region. So first of all, for a lot of the boys, they felt empowered because for the first time they got to experience dancing or singing or acting, which for them is not necessarily, for a lot of boys, they find it's not a masculine activity, right? It's not sports. So for a lot of them, they were empowered that way. Also especially through acting, by building characters, we ask them when they're choosing the characters for the movie, do you want to play the role of a male or do you want to play the role of a female? It doesn't matter which gender they are. 100% of the time, they pick the gender that they are. Boys want to play boys as in the script, and girls do the same. But at least they, for the first time in their lives, they're asked that question. And then obviously we tell them stories about switching gender roles, and for a lot of the time for girls and for boys, but their families see them on screen. Yeah. Anyway, so there's other examples, and we can show you later. But Wafaa, tell us a bit more about the women in our program.
Okay. So one of our main focus is to empower women and give them a platform to create and to be the change in this world. And in 2019 only, 83% of our leaders were women from the MENA region, and 65% of our directors were female directors from the MENA region, awarded scholarships by LCL to impact people. And most importantly, more than 58% of our stars were young girls from the MENA region. We start working with kids that have the age of from 7 to 15 years old, and this is what a group of our this is an example of a group of our 612 kids said after an intensive 5-day program with us.
What sort of activities did you do in Lights Camera Learning? We learned how to write a script, and we learned the golden rules of filming. How to make a movie from the beginning to the end. Clap game, ninja game, zigzag boing. Practice English. Acting and having fun. What did you like the most? I like when we play football. When we start filming, sing song. The brainstorming for write the script. Did you make any new friends? Yes, I have a new friend. Her name is Shah. The actors. My friend is Ilef, Mariam, and Fan. The leaders were my friends. I really love them and I will miss them. Well, an advice for Light Camera Learn team. Oh, you have to come again and see us again. Yes. Yes, you should come back here next summer. Other movie stars out there. The golden rule. We speak loudly. Don't look at the camera. Is making a movie easy or hard? Very hard. Filming a movie was so hard because we have to do lots of takes. When I'm serious, it's easy for me to film the movie. Would you like to make another movie? I want to make another movie. Maybe it's action and comedy. Imaginary, yes. Action. Yes, I want to do another movie, and I want it to be an action movie. Comedy. What was the most fun part of the week? Singing part.
Dancing.
When we play the Battle of League. Would you like to do this program again? Yes. Yeah, of course. Sure, yeah.
So being there for women is not a one-time
I
experience.
help.
It's a continuous process.
I'm Alec.
And we empower them and give them a chance to become independent and impactful. This is Nurhan. She's only 16 years old, and she's one of 38 women that worked with us in 2019. And this is her interview.
I helped them to discover a lot of things that they were afraid to actually tell people about it. Like there's a girl who's really talented and has a good voice, but she was too afraid to sing in front of people, and she's not too comfortable singing, and she's really confident. So yeah, that's the impact that I'm leaving here. That was like my first experience working with kids. So it's really special. I felt that I'm here to teach kids, but I ended up like learning from kids more than actually teaching. Lights, Camera, Learn actually helped me to believe more in myself, to be more confident, and to do whatever I want. And really like to be fearless and go for it and take more chances as much as I can.
As you can see, we are present through the journey of a woman. We start with them when they are 7 years old. We continue later and offer them the position of directors. And later we offer them the position of leaders who change the world. I'm going to leave you now with this amazing interview. Ala is one of our 58 directors that had the chance to travel with us to Tunisia last year.
I'm Ala Kilani. I am part of the leadership team for this program. I'm a program director. Just coming here through Lights, Camera, Learn was a huge boost in immersing me into the Tunisian culture. When I think of emotional moments and things that have touched me, I always think of seeing a change in the kids. This experience opened my eyes and made me delve into the filmmaking process. Now I see things from a different perspective. Now whenever I see a production, whether it's a video on YouTube or a movie, I have a critical eye and I analyze things more thoroughly. And it also made me realize how much I love filmmaking myself. How we teach languages is through filmmaking. This is an innovative thing that not everybody uses.
So obviously you saw some clips, and now really quickly we're gonna kind of go through the journey. So this is Zainab. She was one of our first one of our first students from 2013, and she made a movie, and then in 2017 she came back as an assistant. In 2019 she took on the position of social media manager, and then last year in 2019 she was a director and an edutainer. And this is their speech from the red carpet event.
Stars في أول édition. Voilà, après, even when you're a star.
Okay, 2 minutes. Well, we don't have enough time to go through this, but basically Zainab and Nermeen are 2 examples, and really we have 5 examples, and we have some kind of statistics of 5 women that have gone through this process of going from stars to leaders. And none of them before this, none of them had been exposed to the English language. So, and exposed to these kind of experiences. So, we're really trying to make sure that from 7 years to get a sample study, like we had maybe I think 12 girls. From 12 of those girls, 5 of those girls are still in contact with us, and till this day they say thank you for introducing us to this world and thank you for empowering us. So here are some stats from those 5 girls over the 7 years. And their favorite parts of this session, for all of them, it was filmmaking. And when we talk about what did you learn, a lot of women trace their experiences in terms of confidence, and anxiety or kind of challenging themselves. They trace it back to this first experience when they were 12 or 13, and it was their first time that they were pushed to do something out of their comfort zone, and it was in a safe and empowering environment.
Okay, excellent. Well, let's give a hand to Lights, Camera, Learn, and to the effort that Amal and Wafaa have been doing.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? Do we have time
Thank you
for
so
questions?
much. In fact, unfortunately, we don't have time for questions, but these are the email addresses from Lights, Camera, Learn. You can also find the link of Lights, Camera, Learn. And if you have questions for Amal or Wafaa or myself, feel free to do so. Uh,